Hello! Welcome to Portal to Your Powers. This is a place where we bring you little tips, tricks, and hints that we have found helpful to us as we have walked along our path towards finding our superpowers. I'm your cosmic soul sister, Leah, and today we will be discussing a topic that I think is very important in this area, and that is what I call our 5 etheric senses. So, in the Western world, we are taught that we have 5 basic senses, and they're all physical in nature. So we would have sense of taste, sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of seeing, and sense of smell. And we're taught that that is the only way that we are able to navigate this world. But I would like to challenge that paradigm today, because as I have learned, stepping into my superpowers, we have 5 additional senses that are very, very, very important in discerning information, in making decisions, in trusting in our own sense of knowingness. So the 5 etheric senses that I'm going to talk to you today about are oftentimes called our clairs. So we have clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizence, and clairgustence. And I honestly believe that every single one of us is able to develop these senses and use them to transform anything in our lives. Use them in a very productive way to do anything really that we want to do with them. Now, you might know of a psychic medium or a famous channeler who is very gifted in some of these areas. And in that way, I refer to someone like that as kind of being the Michael Jordan in the spiritual realm, if you will. Because although Michael Jordan, he's incredible, and I know that I'm never going to be able to play basketball like Michael Jordan did, I can still learn to play basketball, even at 5'4", not very coordinated in any sense of the imagination. I can still practice the skills that are very important in basketball and play the game if I so desired to. That is really the same way that I look at the psychic senses. All of us have the innate ability to have these psychic senses. It's all in how much we want to develop them. That's really where the magic lies. So it is a practice. It's just like learning to play basketball. It's a practice. There are things that we need to do daily to enhance our senses. There's mindset shifts that we probably are going to have to do, maybe unlearning some of the paradigms that we've been taught growing up in the Western world that might need to change a little bit in order to develop the senses. But trust me, they are all there. It is my greatest belief that we all have the innate ability if we choose to develop them. So the first one that I want to talk about is clairsentience, which is really clear feeling. And a lot of people would refer to this as being empathic. It means being able to feel into the emotions, the vibrational emotions of the people or places around you. So you may notice that when you're hanging out with somebody that's sad, you might have an overwhelming sense of sadness inside yourself. And that is an element of clairsentience. You may also recognize that when you walk into a room after there's been a lot of excitement or a lot of anxiety, and you walk into that room and you immediately sense that. Another example of being clairsentient. So this is something that you can develop even to a deeper sense, so that when you even are thinking about a person, you can know what they're feeling in that exact moment. It is actually possible for some people to do that. So being an empath is something that everyone is, just to varying degrees, based on their natural abilities and also how much they've developed that gift. Second one is clairaudient, and that is clear hearing. So this can come in a couple different forms. Some people can honestly hear things outside in different dimensions, different realms. They may hear spirits communicating with them. They may hear even galactic beings communicating with them. And they hear it with their ears. That, in my experience, has been not as common as the other way that people hear, and that is inside of their mind. So they might hear a voice inside of their mind, and they recognize that it is not their own, and that is how they're able to communicate with other realms. So maybe they're communicating with their guides and they hear messages in their head. Sometimes they're communicating with galactic beings and they hear the messages in their head, but it's not a measurable sound in the outside world. In my experience, and for myself and for a lot of the people that I've worked with, this is the version that they have. Now, I do honestly think that they can both be developed. So if it is something that you are interested in, I do think that you can actually develop that ability in time and lots of practice. Clairvoyant is also, in my experience, a very common of the clairs, where people are able to, it's called clairvoyant clairseeing. So this could come in a couple of different ways as well. You can actually see something before it happens, or even in a different place on the planet. You can actually see flashes of that as if you're watching a movie. So, for example, this actually did happen to me a couple weeks ago. I was walking home from work. I see a car stop at a stop sign, about to cross kind of a freeway area. And I see, as if I was watching a movie, I see the car pull across the street and be hit. And I'm thinking, why did I just see that? That is so weird. Why did I see that movie? It was like I was watching a movie. And I kind of dismissed it. But then a few seconds later, it actually happened. The car drove across the street and it got sideswiped. And it was really traumatic to watch, because there was that part of me that was like, I knew that was going to happen, but I felt so helpless because there was nothing that I could do at that point to stop it. But all of that aside, luckily everyone in the cars were okay. I don't think the cars were okay, but the people were, so that was good. But that is an instance where I actually know people can see what appears to be like a movie. The other way that clairvoyance is expressed is in your mind's eye. And this one is the most common, I personally believe and have seen. This is when you can actually, in your mind's eye, envision either an event that's going to happen. You can actually have visions in your mind about things that have happened in the past, maybe even in previous lives. Maybe for other people too. Some people are very gifted in being able to tune into others and see, have basically downloads of information about that other person. And this is what we see with lots of psychics and a lot of the channelers and the mediums that we see. That is their gift and their ability, and something that they have also worked on to get to that point where they can tap into somebody else's experiences and actually witness in their own mind a video replay of what that experience would be. So, also, there's claircognizence, which is clear knowing. And in my experience, this is probably the most common of all the clairs for people. And I really think everyone has this and they don't realize it. This is when you know something, but you don't know how you know it. You just know it. It just came into your head. It is a download of information. It is there and you know it. And you feel that it's true. And you can't explain exactly how you know it. So again, a lot of the more gifted psychics use their claircognizance to be able to tap into another person's experience or life. So it's just a sense that they get of knowing something about that person that then hopefully can be used to help the person in whatever circumstance they're going through. The last of the clairs that I wanted to talk about today is Clairgustence. And this one, in my experience, from what I have known from other people that I've worked with, and just in general, you don't hear people have Clairgustence as much as the other clairs. Though I do think we can develop it. I do think we can develop it. And that is clear smelling or tasting. So some people, especially when there's a spirit around, maybe it's one of their guides, maybe it's someone from a previous incarnation that's visiting them, maybe it's someone from their life currently that's visiting them that has passed on. So maybe their grandma comes back and visits them, and you smell, all of a sudden you smell what her perfume smelled like. Or I know someone that's very close to me that often smells cigarette smoke when there's no cigarettes around. And she has a feeling that maybe it's one of her guides that's around, possibly that she knew from a previous life or something of that nature. And when they're around, she can smell the strong smell of cigarette smoke, but no one else can. And no one's been smoking around her, but all of a sudden she smells cigarettes. Those are a couple examples. Also, taste gets lumped into this one. And that's where you might just have a random download of a string of a very clear taste in your mouth, and it might remind you of someone that you knew. Maybe your grandma baked you the most amazing chocolate chip cookies, and all of a sudden that taste is in your mouth, and you think, oh, my grandma must be near me. She must be near me. Maybe she wants to communicate with me. So that's not as common, I would say, the Clairgustence, but it is definitely, in my opinion, a very cool clair to have. So those are some areas, some of the superpowers that you can actually learn to develop, because I know that each and every one of you has them. It's just a matter of tapping into them. So with that, I bid you love and light, and I will see you next time.